Hello everyone, and welcome to Sonic the Hedgehog on the SEGA Master System and SEGA Game Gear. This is the 8-bit version of the original classic Mega Drive game. And I know what you guys are thinking, but you've already LP'd Sonic the Hedgehog. Not like this. This game is completely different from the other version of Sonic the Hedgehog. And this version is exclusive to Game Gear and Master System. And for the most part, the gameplay is very similar. You gotta run to the right of the screen, the power-ups are still all here, you can still crouch to speed up, and basically the mechanics are pretty similar. They're not 100% the same as they are in the original version of the Mega Drive, but they're close enough. Now, why is this version different? I don't know. I thought they got a different design team to get into this one, and this version of Sonic the Hedgehog actually features its own unique level design, its own unique level themes, and even its own unique music. For example, Green Hill here is the same old Green Hill we all know and love. But when we get to the second zone, things are going to change, and things are going to change even in the second act of Green Hill, because instead of going through the green hills, running through like we normally do, instead, we're gonna go underground. That's right, folks, we go underground Green Hill in this game. And, basically, it's, as you'd expect, it's Sonic the Hedgehog, but on an 8-bit system. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but this game actually came out after the original Sonic the Hedgehog, because the Master System was still supported way late into the Mega Drive lifespan, because in the UK and Europe at least, it was still a very widely used system. People used to use it all the time, and not everybody upgraded to the Mega Drive. So what did Sega do? They figured, okay, we're going to make a lot of money off this. So about 1 or 2 months later, they released this, and Bob's your uncle, the rest is history. Now what you saw me collectible there is actually a Chaos Emerald. There are no special stages there's no Chaos Emerald collectibles through special stages in this version of Sonic the Hedgehog. Instead, all the Chaos Emeralds are located in each of the worlds. You need to go through the worlds and actually find the Chaos Emeralds in the levels. Much like the first version of Sonic the Hedgehog, there's only 6 Chaos Emeralds you can pick up in this game. And, in my opinion, it's far easier to actually pick up the Chaos Emeralds in this version, because obviously you don't need to go through some dodgy maze to do it. But if you do get 50 rings and reach the end of a level, you still get access to a special stage. The difference is, this special stage is here purely to give you extra lives, extra continues, and to help you progress throughout the game. And basically the way it works is, you've got these springs and a lot of rings. Every time you collect 100 rings, you will gain an extra life. Whenever your counter in this game goes over 100 though for your rings, it resets, so you get 100 rings and then you'll revert back to 0. Which can be a bit annoying, like if you're about to fight an enemy and you get your 100th ring, then suddenly you lose them all, and it's very annoying when that happens. But yeah, like I said, that cont box is basically a continue box. You hit it, you get an extra continue, which you can use if you use up all your lives. And I consider this to be one of the harder Sonic games, personally. And I consider it to be much harder than the Mega Drive version for a couple of reasons. It's not the hardest out there, because you get plenty of lives throughout the entire game, but I can see people having a lot of issues. Like, I've had a lot of issues when I was younger playing this. I used to be horrible at this game. And in this LP, I have died quite a bit that I've cut out, because I basically had a horrible run while recording this. But if you go down here, there's an extra 1-up that is very easy to miss. I don't think I've ever seen an LP where someone goes down there, so there's that there if you need it. There's loads of 1-ups in the game, so if you know where to look, you won't really have to worry about dying. Yeah, and again, if you do die, you get plenty of continues to carry on. But anyway, this is the very first boss, Dr Eggman himself. And this is the most pathetic boss fight in the entire series, apart from the pathetic mobile in Sonic 2. What's he do is he moves left and right, and on his third time moving left, he'll start dropping down. And then you can just smash the jump button and hit him usually about 7 times. Once he shoots off the edge of the screen, then move over to the other side of the screen and he's going to drop down again. and just hit him once and he's going to be done. It can be quite tricky though for one reason, and that's the fact none of the boss fights give you any rings in this game. It is very possible to die. But that's this Green Hill Zone over and done with. Not a bad level at all. Very simple, very easy. Nice way to introduce you to the game. Now, this is where the game's going to get really different, folks, because the next level is not in the Mega Drive version. And it also has one of my favourite songs out of the entire game. Welcome, folks, to the Bridge Zone. And as you notice, every time we enter and exit a level, that little map screen to tell us where we are on the Sonic's Island, South Island, so I think it's pretty cool. I think the story of this game is exactly the same as the original version, so Eggman's collecting robots, collecting animals, turning into robots, and you gotta stop him. It's pretty similar. But the music and the stage is fantastic, and I would argue that I prefer this version of the game's music, just because the melodies they have. Like, Bridge Zone is probably one of my all-time favourite themes in the entire series. And no theme song from this point is the exact same from the Mega Drive version. Not even stages that we've been to in the Mega Drive version have the same music. Everything's original, folks. Everything's its own thing. And be careful of those buzz bombers, that can be very painful to take care of. And one major difference between this version of Sonic and the Mega Drive version again is the fact you can't collect your rings. If you get hit, you lose your rings. You can't pick them back up. So what you want to do is basically try and dodge everything a little bit more effectively, because otherwise you might have a couple of issues. There's a second Chaos Emerald, so what you want to do is actually drop down on this bridge, pick up the emerald, and start moving on just fine. But yeah, Bridge Zone is where the game's difficulty is a bit more harder. It's not too hard though. However, Act 2 is interesting. Really interesting. Because Act 2 of this level is actually something you don't see much in Sonic games. It's a scrolling level. That's right, the screen will scroll, and you will need to follow the screen at the same pace. If you go too slow, well, you'll be pushed by the screen in the back, and chances are you'll fall into a pit. And if you go too fast, chances are you won't see a pit coming up, and you'll fly right in. And I don't know how I feel about this. Like, I'm not a big fan of scrolling levels in games even like Mario, where you'd expect them to show up. So when I'm in a Sonic game, it kind of makes me go a bit, it makes me feel uneasy. But as you can tell, most of the bandits in this game are practically identical to their Mega Drive counterparts, but we do have a couple of unique ones. For example, you got these crab enemies with spikes on their backs, the pink spike crabs, like this guy right here. The way you deal with this guy is you either do a really pixel perfect jump on the face, which I don't recommend because it's ridiculous to do. It's just stupid to pull off. Or you could spin into him. Now this still predates the spin dash. The spin dash wasn't introduced, and even in the Master System version of Sonic 2, there is no spin dash. But the Master System of Sonic 2 is actually the next Sonic game I'm going to tackle, I think, because that was actually released before the Mega Drive version for whatever reason. I don't know whether a lot of these Master System versions were released, I don't know whether they were in development at the same time as the Mega Drive versions. I think they were, because this is only like a couple of months off release from the Mega Drive version, because the Mega Drive version of this game was released in July, and I believe this one was released in October. Don't quote me on that, it's been a long time since I had to check that, so... But I think that's the actual dates. And as you can expect, the Chompa bandits will pop out of the water. As long as you're jumping, you should be able to deal with them just fine, because obviously your jump attack is a spin attack, so you jump and you'll hurt things. But be careful of them anyway, because you could possibly run into them and get hurt, which you don't want to happen. Anyway, as you can see, these bridges are going to fall whenever you stand on them, as we've seen previously. The best way to deal with them is actually to just jump as you go on the bridge. That way, as the platforms are falling, you still have enough time to make it to the next platform and continue moving across into the end of the level. Speaking of the end of the level, we get another special stage. Now, the special stages in this game, like I previously said, are completely optional in every way. I've never seen anyone have to go through these, and there's even LPs I know of that completely skip the special stages. I'm not going to do that because I want to show off as much as I can. I don't go to every special stage in this game, but I go to plenty of them, and that's, you know, I want to show off as much of the game as possible. This is kind of an underrated version of Sonic, I find. And a lot of people do prefer, you know, a lot of people I see LP this game, actually LP the Master System, not Master System, the Game Gear version instead, which for the most part is the same game. But there are some differences here and there. For example, one of the Chaos Emerald locations I can think of, which is in Labyrinth Zone, it's completely different, it's in a different location than the Game Gear version. And the screen is really zoomed in. So, if you're playing the Game Gear version, it can be a little bit harder because of the way the screen zoomed in on Sonic. But overall, it's still pretty easy. I would argue the Game Gear version is easier than the Master System version, by far. And one of the reasons why is actually coming up in a bit. But anyway, we're going to take on Eggman's next boss fight. So what you want to do with this boss fight is actually just jump in the middle and hold down the jump button to get the highest bounce off him, and let him shoot in one of the directions. And that's all you really need to do. Keep count of how many times you hit him, because obviously after 4 hits, not after 4, after 8 hits, he's gonna die. So just pay attention of how much you hurt him. Very easy boss fight. And to be honest, all the bosses in this game are easy apart from the final boss. And the final boss isn't even hard, it's just more finicky. I'll get into the final boss a bit more when I get to him, because I had a lot of issue with that boss. But anyway, there's Act 3 cleared, so now we're moving on to yet another original Master System exclusive level. The Jungle Zone. Now this zone is actually what I consider to be the bane of my existence when I was young. I hated this level, because this level gave me so many deaths, there's so many pits you can fall down, and you got a lot of precision platforming to deal with. You can run across these vines no problem, and if you want you can roll, because this game does have momentum physics, so if you roll you'll be able to gain a lot of speed off the vines. I wouldn't recommend it, but it's possible. But easy one up by here on this waterfall as well if you want it. And like I said, this is the bane of my childhood. I used to hate this level. And I think I died about 5 or 6 times in this level. And you might see those arrow boxes that I've actually been hitting throughout the LP as well. These arrow boxes are actually the checkpoints of this game. As you can tell, there's no signpost, so the checkpoint system is nothing like the Mega Drive version. It is very easy to die as well, so whenever you see a checkpoint box with the arrow pointing down, boop it, otherwise there's a very high chance of death. Anyway, by here I believe it is, you need to jump on the log by here and ride it all the way to the bottom of the platform. Because to the left of here is actually the next Chaos Emerald. Very easy emerald to miss, I might say, so just jump, and you see this log by here, ride it. To ride it, you basically just land on it and you keep holding left. And, yeah. Also, one little known fact about the Master System is you can actually use the Mega Drive controller on it, which I'm have to do because my Master System pad is abysmal. It barely functions. And to be honest, I prefer the Mega Drive D-pad. I'm not a big fan of the D-pad on the Master System. Like, both the Master System and the original Nintendo system, I consider their controllers to be abysmal. I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for that, but I don't care. I really can't stand the old 8-bit system controllers. They're horrible. And I don't know why, like, the NES controller, I find the buttons to be spongy and not responsive, which is why I'm doing the Super Nintendo version of a certain game coming up instead of the original NES version. That and the picture quality is much better. But that was a horrible, horrible jump. Whenever you're rolling and you're going in like that, whenever you're rolling, you basically go into what I like to call momentum mode. So the momentum will be the main defining factor of your jump. So you will need to really manage your speed in order to roll and jump across. So one of the best things I can recommend is actually jump and stop in place, so then you can actually continue to maneuver further. And be careful making these jumps, because what you can't see is actually the water has a current to it. So while you're running along, the current will probably try and drag you into a pit, or away from a pit. So be very careful. It's very easy to die in that section just by trying to jump over, and you end up flying into a pit like half a mile away. It's not fun. It's really not fun. But anyway, Jungle Zone Act 2, which I consider to be pretty much the hardest stage in the game. Well, not exactly, but this game basically has an old school issue that only happens in these old games, where the screen below, you might think if you go to the screen below, you'll be able to reach the platforms below where you've jumped up, and the game will just punish you by making you progress for longer to get up to the top. No. Everything in the screen below you becomes a bottomless pit. So, don't fall. Falling and you will die. Although I don't know what happened there. I kind of hit the spikes on the bottom of that platform and so clipped me through, so I don't know, it's weird. Now, one of the biggest differences between the Game Gear version and the Master System version is the fact that that bottomless pit, I don't think is there in the Game Gear version. If you fall in the Game Gear version, then you don't have to worry too much, you can just jump back up. And there's a reason why this version I consider to be the hardest, and it's because of this level. I couldn't play this level when I was young. I used to have so much of trouble. I mean, every level after this level, see, that's how bad it gets. But every level after this level, I find quite easy, apart from maybe the very last stage, because I have issues with that. I don't know though, I digress. But anyway, if you're good enough at jumping, you'll actually be able to progress really quickly up here actually, because you can actually gain a lot of momentum, and when you gain a lot of momentum, you tend to have a little bit more height to your jumps. Kind of like with Mario, whenever you hold the run button, you can gain a little bit of altitude. So whenever you do that, you might be able to jump higher, and you'll probably be able to progress a bit further, but don't try to speedrun this level, folks. It's not going to end well for you if you try to speedrun. This stage can destroy you, to put things bluntly. But anyway, on this very last log, you want to go to the left of the screen and not the right. If you go to the right of the screen, you'll die. And the left of the screen basically leads right to the very end checkpoint of the level. So there we go, there's Act 2 Jungle Zone completed. Kinda tricky to deal with, I'm gonna be perfectly honest, but yeah, I've played worse levels. And of course, as always, Act 3 is actually the boss fight of this level as well, so for the Jungle Zone Act 3, gonna take on Eggman yet again, and the first thing we're gonna want to do in this boss level is jump into a pool of water that's directly in front of us, instead of going up the vines. Now the vines are the way to go up to fight the boss, but as you can see, there's an extra 1-up in this water, so you want to go in, boop that, and there you go. Extra life number 7, although I had like 8 and 2 levels ago, I don't know what happened to them. Editing. But anyway, this is the boss fight by here. What you want to do is actually move to the left hand side or the right hand sides of each of these vines, avoiding his ball. And he's going to drop down periodically to shoot the ball out. Now this is your chance to hit him. You need to bounce up from the left to right and hit him while he's shooting the ball out, while avoiding getting hit by the ball. Like I said, one hit will kill you in these boss fights, and the ball will eventually explode. Now the dust cloud that appears when the ball explodes, that can still hurt you. So do not touch it. It will be painful, and I've died many a time because I disregard it entirely and just sort of explode. But boss fight very easy. Just if you get yourself into a rhythm, you'll be easy enough to take care of him when he goes down, no problem. However, when you get to this point, jump. There's a reason I'm telling you that. I've died many times just by trying to jump through that pit. Yes, I beat Eggman, I beat Jungle Zone, time to move on to the next level. What am I gonna do? I fall and then die. Don't do that. But anyway, that's it for this part, folks, so thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't be sheepish, people, and when we return next time, we'll take care of the rest of the game. Thanks for watching. See you after. Bye!